I'm gonna ask a lot of just like weird because I'm obsessed with like the demands of being like a pop star,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
and I know you're feeling like, and that's why I
I'm just
find
kidding,
you so
I'm totally
interesting.
kidding.
But it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
because
yeah.
it's like it is a very unique lifestyle and unique
Yeah.
from even there's only a certain percentage of people in the world who are in the arts, and even smaller percentage of people who are in the arts and could be considered pop stars.
Yeah.
So it's like, is there your life sort of is lived in phases necessarily?
It is lived in phases.
Is there a phase of life that you like more, dislike the most? Like where?
My writing phase, the writing phase is my favorite for me. But when I, for example, if we were in the studio for more than 2 weeks, I would need to take a break and then just live some life because I run out of things to say, you know, because I usually just have thoughts and ideas. And then I'm like, well, I don't have anything else to say because I've been in the studio with you motherfuckers for the last 2 weeks. So there's, you know, I got to go and go on a date. I got to go get in a fight with someone, something, because otherwise, you know, I think the buck stops here.
Okay.
So it usually is like, for me, that's usually my favorite phase. It's like the year of like writing, and then you go take a few days off, writing, take a few days off, come back, writing, come back. Like I love that because I also, that's a time where I feel like I'm also, when I'm writing, I'm devouring other forms of art as input. So I'm like reading a lot, listening to a lot of music, watching a lot of movies, even like going to see like physical art in museums because I feel like I benefit from a lot of input and then I get like newer and newer forms of output.
Incredible. What were the forms of, what were you taking in like in the beginning stages of this album or throughout? Like,
oh
what
my
were you
gosh, I wrote it down
to?
on my iPad. Can I pull it out?
Please,
okay.
Yeah, incredible.
I brought my iPad because I was like, you know, if there's any podcast that I can nerd out and bring my trusty Patty,
please.
This is the iPad. I wrote down like some of the books and like some of the references and stuff. So these are the books that I read. Okay, so Joan Didion and the White Album.
Oh, that's a great book.
Great book, right? Candy House, Jennifer Egan. Bird by Bird by Anne Lamott. Did you ever read that? It's about writing.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to check that out. I don't know it.
Bird by Bird. My Year of Rest and Relaxation. Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka.
Wow, you're reading some Kafka.
I was reading some classics, but I was mostly reading, like I was reading a lot of Sally Rooney. I was reading a lot of books by girls going through things in their 20s because I was like, I just loved the like inner dialogue and I wanted to have.
Hence Joan Didion at like
Hence
number
Joan
one.
Didion, exactly. What else did I write down here? This poetry podcast, Poetry Unbound.
I've heard of that, but
I love that podcast. It really has taught me so much. These are just like things like kind of guidelines of CXOXO. But
what?
I don't know.
Hold on a second. Well, is the
I don't know if you want to hear.
That's the whole. That's the blueprint.
Well, this is just like this is just some stuff. Like I remember talking to my therapist a lot about this album kind of being about questions without answers, and you know that quote that's like. Rainer Maria Rilke, that's like Live Your Questions, where it's like letters to a young poet where he's like, I don't know what to do. Like, do I do this with my life? Do I do this with my life? And he's like, don't wait until you know the answer. Live your questions. And I feel like a lot of my songs before were very like, bam, bam. It's like, we broke up and yay. And, you know, my oh my, it's like, he's a bad boy and ooh. And, you know, it's very kind of these neatly
boxes.
Yeah, totally. Whereas I feel like a lot of these songs are almost like zooming in on one moment, which is my favorite thing about poetry, for example, where it's like, I don't know, like 20 somethings is like, it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a lot of angst. It's a lot of not knowing.
A lot of not knowing, totally.
And not being sure of yourself.
Even I Love It is just like a zoom in on just a very tiny feeling.